Hey, it's the Veronicas, and you're watching Noise11.com.
If you love someone, then tell them right now, 'cause your heart won't rest till you let it out. Let the words you dream come out of your mouth.
And we welcome into Noise11.com, Jess and Lisa, the Veronicas, and it has been such a long time since we've caught up. So, we've got a lot of catching up to talk about. What you've been doing, you've got the new record out. There has been a 7-year gap, and we should point out that it wasn't all your decision to have that gap.
No, about 5 years of it was not our decision.
Yeah.
A nice long sleep for 7 years. No. It has been a minute. It makes this moment that much sweeter though for us, having the album finally out around the world. And yeah, I mean, obviously there was the label switch from Warner Brothers over to Sony, and we couldn't be happier having a team behind us that really believes in the music.
Yeah, but I don't understand, but maybe you can fill me in here. Like, you've just had two immensely internationally successful records, and then the record company steps in and sort of is unsure about what to do next.
Well, it was an interesting sort of structure over there at the time. We were signed to Sire Warner, and they phased out the active Sire side, even though the label print part of it's still active. So they basically handed us over to the Warner Brothers side, and then there was so many different changes within the company that there was nobody there to work with that had worked on the prior two records. So it was an entirely new team of people, and every time we made progress with one person as far as A&R or a CEO went on approving things, they were then fired within a 6-month period, and we would have to wait to be reassigned a new person. And that happened 4 times over in a 3-year period.
Wow.
So it wasn't necessarily a personal thing against us. It wasn't that that they didn't like the music or things like that. There was just literally nobody there to see the project through or to approve anything. And it just got to a point where it was like a circus. It was ridiculous, the amount of people that we were working with that were then fired, and then having to work with all new people again who wanted to do
6
things
months
their
later,
way.
I mean, it takes time to find someone to replace that person. So it was just a bit of, I mean, by the end of it, we were just like, we were done.
We
Can't do this.
But business can stall, creativity doesn't stall.
No,
you
that's
must have
right.
still been writing and...
Oh, it's the only thing that kept us going, that and the fans, like having that relationship with our fans online, thanks to social media now. But yeah, we completely threw ourselves into the music and the creative process, and that kept us somewhat sane. Yes.
There was the song Lolita.
Yes.
That was a couple of years back. That was in this interim period, I take?
Yes.
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, at that point, it was sort of a song that they heard, and we were sort of pushing to obviously get music heard. So that got released, but it's actually not on the album. It was sort of just an in-between.
Well, you had announced Life on Mars, I think was the title. So is this album that album that you were talking about?
Yeah, part of it is. Half of it is. So half of it was from that incarnation, and half of it is newer stuff that we've done since we signed to Sony. So yeah, it's about half and half.
Wow. Let's go right back, because I know, if we jump forward 1 year, you were about to have your 10th anniversary of the first release
forever.
of the album. But it actually goes back 3 years before that. You're in the studios with our old pal Stuart Stewart. And
that's right. Who just did some really amazing stuff with Shepherd.
He did.
We're so proud of him.
Killing it.
In fact, he was sort of telling me the other day he just introduced you to Shepherd.
Yeah, we just met him at the
ARIA Awards.
Yeah,
that was cool.
See, there you go. His little corners of his career have just crossed paths.
Yeah, he works hard. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah. Tell me about the 2001 demos. He tells me they've never, those songs have never surfaced.
No, I mean, that was a time, that was a long time ago now, so it doesn't really hold any relevance to today, but we are very proud of those songs, of course. It was part of our
developmental process, and
as
being in the
songwriters.
studio for the first time and learning how to write, just figuring it out for ourselves, and he helped shape that. It was a very important time in our lives.
None of those songs survived? They weren't remade into anything else, or didn't?
I mean, they're just not relevant today in the sense of,
we were very young.
Yeah, but we're proud of them. Of course.
Well, you've got a lot to be proud of. Eight hit singles so far. In fact,
Is it
eight
eight?
top 10 hits
That's crazy.
around
Oh,
Australia
that's
is
cool.
pretty amazing. And when you had that
you.
first international success, I mean, selling 1 million records in America is just an incredible achievement.
Thank
Wild,
you. Yeah.
wild. Yeah, when Untouched went double platinum over there, we didn't. It was bizarre because, again, at the time we were having issues with our label. They didn't want to release the song. They didn't believe in the song. It was really our management who pushed to release that song. And so when it did so well without any label support, it felt really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think any situation like that where the music speaks for itself is always a win for music rather than the politics and the business side of the industry.
Mm.
So we really celebrate that, obviously.
Mm. Well, it must have been a great feeling too when You Ruin Me came out after a very long gap and then went straight up to number one and hung around there for weeks.
It's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah, it's actually crazy to think about. It's still sinking in a way because, I mean, a song like that, I think it was just so much of it, all of it was from the heart. We're wearing a heart on our sleeves, and it was, more about the lyrics and the vocal performance than, your usual upbeat, radio-friendly pop song where the production sort of takes over. So I think that really connected with people.
Well, I think, like I'm hearing a lot more musical maturity on this record.
Thank
you. Being 7 years down the track,
course,
you
yeah.
have obviously evolved as musicians in that time.
Yeah, that
progressed
was,
and-
it was very important for us to fill our time, regardless of the fact that we weren't able to be releasing music, that we continued to challenge ourselves as songwriters, work with people that inspired us, different people. We didn't just want to stay in a comfortable zone. We really thrive off being uncomfortable, taking risks, being
Challenging ourselves.
Yeah, just being, exploring the different avenues that we could take. So we did some writing in LA, we did some in Nashville, New York City, Sweden. There's some great pop writers in Sweden that we collaborated with.
And here in Sydney too, in Australia.
Oh yeah, we wrote in Australia and Sydney, and we really wanted to get in with different artists and different people that we thought could really just keep our
Inspire
interest and
us.
inspire us. Yeah, at such a difficult time, at such an uninspiring business time. That was the most important thing for us.
I think it's important for an artist to constantly be challenging themselves and staying inspired because, I don't know, there's nothing more boring to us than the idea of just recreating the same thing over and over and over, like making a record just like the last, or
having the intention be motivated by something other than trying to just make a really cool record that reflects something. When you see people make records off the back of a very successful record, usually it's done in a really quick, a short amount of time, and they're trying to get as many heavy hitters in as possible to,
write the songs essentially for you.
Well, it's
Yeah.
because then there's risk, and how to minimize the risk. You get people that are
Writing all
cemented at that time period on it, and that then I guess minimizes the risk of it not working or something. But that's why most people make really great first records and then the second records. Sometimes they make great second records as well, but a lot of times it gets a little bit, for me as a fan of music, I get a bit jaded with second or third records of artists. So in that respect,
unless they're consciously fighting for
striving for that. But that's why it sort of worked out where we had so much time that we weren't on a time limit anymore. Almost, it was an unlimited amount of time, so we were able to
creative freedom to go
explore
wherever we like.
Well, there were a couple of names that were tossed around in the early days as potential collaborations. I think Daniel Johns was mentioned, Butch Vig, Nellee Hooper.
Yes.
What happened to all of those songs?
Well, the
They-
song we
they
did with Nellee's
exist.
on the record. So
Yes,
Nellee's song's on the
Cold
record.
is
It's
on the
called
record.
Cold. The song we did with Daniel Johns is on the deluxe version coming out. And the song we did with Billy Corgan is on the record. It's called Did You Miss Me? And who else did you just
Butch
mention?
Vig was obviously just a dream to work with, and
Yeah.
that in itself was
That was a lot more rock and roll, that stuff.
Yes.
So it didn't make sense on this collective. But we've done those songs live. They're just awesome songs, and I'm sure we'll do them in our live show anyway.
Yeah. Did You Miss Me? I'm a Veronica, the Billy collaboration that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Obviously, you didn't write the lyrics. That must have, sounds like
not-
that was
that was
coming
all
from
us.
your end. Yeah. Yeah. What was his part in the creation of that song?
So he helped with some of the arrangement and obviously the massive Pumpkins-esque breakdown guitar part in the middle. Yeah, we went and recorded that in Chicago with him, that whole middle section.
It was done in his personal studio, wasn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It must have been an amazing experience considering his heritage, his background, his history. And what he'd done with Smashing Pumpkins. Was he almost like a bit of a songwriting mentor that you were having, during that time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's actually
Life
how we
mentor.
met him. That's how we met him, was we were sort of making this dream list of people that we wanted to meet and work with. And, we put him down not thinking in a million years that opportunity would actually manifest into real life. But, we did get the opportunity, and we got to kind of workshop a couple of ideas and write with him a little bit, and then.
But he was really instrumental in just keeping us inspired and, talking to us about staying creatively inspired and not allowing the other stuff to intervene in that, because you can become jaded very quickly when you're focused on that other side, the business side of stuff, when it's not working out. So
especially when it's not in your control, there's so much legally, contractually that's going on there, so it can get depressing, it can get frustrating, and it was.
Did it give you an insight into how a Smashing Pumpkins song was created?
I watched Billy make the whole Oceania record, so I got to see his whole process anyway, and he is an incredible breed of artist where he literally lives and breathes every moment. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like it, where he would spend an entire day just getting a guitar sound, trying every type of guitar through every type of pedal and every type of amp, and he would sit there for hours and hours until it was tweaked to the very specific nuance of the sound that he wanted. And that's why it's such a pleasure to listen to those records, because it's not just, he doesn't settle for anything. It's an incredible mindset to have, an incredible focus, and just love for what he does. Yeah, it was really, really cool.
And it's a dying breed of artists. It's not they're not breeding that kind of an artist anymore. I mean, you do find, if you go searching, you find those kind of prodigies and those people that are doing that, but they're not often the ones that get the platform these days to be heard.
Another song I wanted to talk to you about was the title alone. I love, Born Bob Dylan.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and it's like one of the highlight tracks on the album
Thank
as well.
you.
Yeah,
it's a great
that
song.
one's really special to us. I'm glad you love that one.
It's a fascinating song and a title and a subject matter. Just Born Bob Dylan. Where did that all come from?
The concept of that song is such a powerful one, because it's fun, because it's basically saying, we can all relate to that feeling of sometimes you can't express how you're feeling, and you're just saying, if I was born Bob Dylan, I would be able to say exactly how I'm feeling in the most beautiful, poetic, lyrical way possible. It's quite fun, but it is quite a serious, strong message, just in the sense of saying, if I could stand up for myself, if I could do all these things, and if I was born Bob Dylan, perhaps I could do them. And it came from a passion, really.
What about the song Teenage Millionaire? Are we talking personally when you're singing that song? Was that all about, a large wad of cash coming your way from those first two records?
Because
so
the song
much.
is about the metaphorical message of, you make me feel like I'm a teenage millionaire, but the whole point of the song is we could live in boxes, we could live anywhere. Like, it doesn't matter where we're living, it doesn't matter whether we're in a mansion or whether we're in a box. You make me feel like the richest person on earth. And it's not... it's basically
it's
like
a
metaphor for a very material. It's the we sing about the material things for the metaphorical message of that song. Yeah,
now,
it's a love song. It's I love that song.
2015 is exciting. You've got the Sanctified tour on the way.
Yes.
And how is that going to be different from the previous tours that you've done? What do you got planned?
Well, for starters, we're doing smaller venues.
It's smaller venues, so it's the most intimate sort of tour we're doing to date here in Australia, which we're so excited about. It's going to be more interactive with fans on that level, and it's also going to be a lot more theatrical and conceptual. So
Yeah, you've got quite a few songs to choose from. Obviously,
We
not
were
everything
doing
from the
3
new album
albums
can last.
worth,
Yeah,
and then everything that didn't get used as well that we might want to rock out live.
yeah,
So it's who knows? We could be playing for 5 hours. These fans don't know what they're in for quite
Yeah.
yet. We don't even yet. We're sort of concepting it all out now, but
yeah. A different complete album every night. That's
I know. We could do a different set every night.
Yeah, yeah.
Might inspire people to come to every show.
Yeah. Well, I think, was it on the 2009 tour you had Angry Anderson jump up with you at one point?
We
Yeah,
did.
how cool was that?
Which
Yeah.
was
That
just
was unreal.
a magical moment for us. We grew up sort of loving Rose Tattoo, and we first saw Angry and Jesus Christ Superstar the musical with John Farnham, Kate Sobrano, all the legends.
Now you're showing your age.
I know. God.
Yeah.
But it really was. I mean, that show, it changed us. It made us want to do music. So to have that moment with Angry was an absolute dream.
What did you do with him? What song?
We sang, what song was it? Oh God,
We did Bad Boy for
Bad Boy
Love.
for Love,
Wow.
yeah.
It was pretty badass.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some YouTube footage of that one floating around.
There
We'll have
is.
to
hey?
invite him
There
down
is.
to this tour.
Yeah.
I actually proposed to him when I was 11. I wrote him a letter asking him to marry me
Ah.
after I saw him in Jesus Christ Superstar.
What, and he knocked you back?
He never wrote me back. He did point out the fact that I was
Granted,
11.
She was 11 years old, so maybe that had
Yeah.
something to do with it.
So all those jilted love songs you wrote when you were 12
They're
were
actually
about
about
angry.
angry. They're about angry.
Yeah, now we know. We'll see we've learned something. Now, I want you to validate or deny a rumour here about
love
buying
this.
Courtney Love's clothes online and then her finding out about it and wanting them back. True or false?
Oh, that's hilarious. No, that's completely misconstrued. So
Yeah.
basically what happened is there was a designer that made some outfits for Courtney for a certain magazine interview, and this designer then gave us some clothes as well, designed some clothes for us. Somewhere along the line, Courts, I think, got a bit confused, or there was some sort of lawsuit between the two of them where she said the designer had taken certain clothes of Courtney's and reworked them. And then obviously we were wearing some of the designer's clothes. So she's just sort of gone there. But we're actually friends with Courtney. She's amazing. She's been a huge supporter of us. I stayed with her for a week in New York City a couple of years ago, and she's just...
I'm just such a huge fan.
She's just an incredible
Oh.
woman. I mean, she's been through so much. She is one of my absolute favorite artists. I love Hole so much. I love all the Right Girl era of music and 90s girl bands. And Hole have some of my most favorite records.
Yeah.
The two records, Live Through This and Celebrity Skin, my two most favorite records.
Yeah, I know for a fact that she wanted you to tour with her on a recent
Yeah,
Australian
that's
tour.
right.
She
I know.
actually
We
asked the
wish we
promoter,
could have done
get me
it.
the Veronicas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
such a
sweet.
babe.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
no,
wish
that's
we could have
cool.
done it. It would have been awesome.
Yeah, you probably would have been wrapping up the album around.
We were.
Yes.
We weren't in town. We weren't able to make that happen. But it would be awesome to do something with her in the future.
Yeah. Well, it's great to get the Veronicas back and on record. And joining us here, Jess and Lisa, the Veronicas at noise11.com.